Trump had a total meltdown this morning when a reporter asked him a question about if he's declaring war on Chicago with this post, which most people would interpret as him declaring war on a city. I mean, how else would you interpret it? And this sent him in the full-on meltdown. Check it out.
Are you trying to go to war with Chicago? Are you declaring war on Chicago?
How would you go?
Are you trying to go to war with Chicago?
You say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why leave the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
How is your ready?
Part of me wonders if it was a man who had asked this, would it have been a little different? Or is he just going to treat women this way? Anytime this man-child gets asked a hard question, he berates the reporter or puts them down or calls it fake news. And I mean, we've seen this play out dozens of times. But I don't think Trump got the message from the protests in Chicago yesterday. So Chicago, you guys might need to step it up a little more because he didn't get the message. Let me know what you think about this. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Donald Trump returned to Washington, D.C. He couldn't stand up straight. On Monday morning, he held a bizarre press event at the Bible Museum. Yes, Donald Trump holding an event at the Bible Museum. And this was a complete and utter disaster from the outset. Donald Trump started attacking former President Joe Biden at the Bible Museum event and said that Biden and the prior administration were mean people because of the things they did to J6. The things they did to the January 6ers, that's what makes them very mean, Donald Trump says, at this Bible event this morning. Here, play this clip.
In the Oval Office, they were stone cold mean. But Joe Biden and the Biden, they were mean people. What they did to people, what they did to J6, what they did to so many people, they were mean people. These were really radical, horrible people.
Then at this Bible Museum event this morning, Donald Trump says crime is virtually eliminated in Washington, D.C., which is not the case. But then he says, and my people, they bring me these stats that show husbands beating their wives, and they want to call that crime. Domestic violence shouldn't be viewed as crime. This is crime. What are they talking about? He says it basically like that. Listen to what he says here. Play this clip.
No, it's more than 87%. Virtually nothing, and much lesser things that take place in the home they call crime. You know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this was a crime. See, so now I can't claim 100%. But we are a safe city. You can walk to a restaurant, you can walk to the White House if you work there, you can walk to the Capitol, and even the Democrats. I can't believe it, but they don't want to admit it. But I can't believe it. We could do the same thing in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. We did it. We saved Los Angeles.
Yes, Donald, domestic violence is a crime. When a individual beats another individual, in the example you give, when a man beats a woman, I know that's hard for you to understand. That's called a crime, Donald. And then, speaking of that, then Donald Trump says about the mayor of Washington, D.C., who has sued Donald Trump, by the way. I mean, Washington, D.C. has sued the Trump administration for their unlawful invasion. He goes, look, Mayor Bowser of D.C., she's going to do whatever I say, and whether she likes it or not, I'm just going to do it. If she allows it, great, and if she doesn't allow it, I'm going to do it to her anyway. Yeah, this sounds exactly what Epstein's best friend would say, Donald. Here, play this clip. Donald Trump just had a terrible meltdown in the Oval Office during a press conference with the president of Poland. Donald Trump said, because we're having the most successful 8 months in American history, we should not be talking about the Epstein hoax. He says, everything you're seeing out there with the victims on Capitol Hill, it's all one big hoax. Talk about me, don't talk about them. Watch this, let's play it.
I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
Donald Trump continues to call the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the sex trafficking. He calls it all a hoax. He says it's a Democrat hoax. The victims are a hoax. Everything is irrelevant. Please stop talking about it, he says, while sitting next to the president of Poland. Here, play this clip.
There have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massie, who is sponsoring a discharge petition to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacting them and slow-walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir? So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C.
And he continues and says, look, I've ended 7 wars. He didn't. I've ended 7 wars. Can I get credit for that? Stop talking about the Epstein hoax. He keeps on saying this during the presser. Here, play this clip.
All run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand.
Okay, and then he's asked, well, you didn't stop the war in Ukraine from Russia's invasion. You promised you would do that in 24 hours. He goes, that's hard. That's hard stuff. I thought that it would be easy, but not easy. Here, play this clip.
I have a power to end things. That's why I was able to end 7 other wars. And you know that I thought of the 7, they're basically 7. Those are tough wars to end. Much tougher, I thought, than the war with Ukraine and Russia. I thought that Ukraine and Russia have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that would be much easier. I thought that would be in the middle of the pack, maybe one of the easiest. Sometimes you never know with war. You know, war is a very interesting thing.
Donald Trump just had a late night meltdown outside of the White House in the area where the Rose Garden used to be. He put concrete all over it and destroyed the Rose Garden. He's now calling this area the Club White House or something like that. He invited over MAGA Republican Congress members and senators, and he started talking about how...
Jim, everything okay? Yes, sir. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. How are you voting for us, Jim? Well, what do you think, sir? Tell me, what should I do, sir? And he broke my ass. And they had about 16 others. That doesn't mean we don't like them.
Yeah, deeply disturbing. And then Donald Trump started talking about grass and how everybody needs to realize that grass has a life the way that we have a life, and that he knows more about grass than anybody. By the way, he's standing in an area where he destroyed the grass and the garden and replaced it with a bizarre, concrete, dystopian, ridiculous-looking thing.
Donald Trump is in a state of panic like we have really never seen before. This is a man melting down before our very eyes, not just physically as he deteriorates, not just mentally with his pudding brain, but as he is constantly confronted with a scandal he just can't get to go away. He cannot cover up his Jeffrey Epstein scandal, and it is the reason why he is losing his mind, and very publicly, in a meltdown on Truth Social, which might have been Donald Trump's strangest yet. We're going to get into it all and how all hell is breaking loose in the White House. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into that absolutely ridiculous meltdown from Trump last night, I want to start with the reason for that meltdown, his Jeffrey Epstein scandal, and Robert Garcia gave us the latest on all that we need to know.
Look, let me just begin by saying that these last couple days, spending time with these survivors, them sharing their stories directly to us, not just at the press conference, but also behind closed doors, has been first incredibly difficult to hear these women essentially being re-traumatized by what's happening, but also to see their courage and their strength, I think, has lit a additional fire within us to really seek and get justice for these women who at the time, many of them were girls and teenagers. What they are saying to us is that the day of them not getting their justice, the days of lies, of cover-ups need to end. And they've been very clear that they want all the files released immediately. They know the president has the power to release the files right now. And this stonewalling, this cover-up, they are aware of what is happening, which is why they've come together to strengthen their voice. And I think us recentering the victims is so important at this moment because they aren't going anywhere. They're going to continue to be engaged. And it is a shame that Republicans say they want transparency, they support the victims, yet won't sign the discharge petition. They don't want a vote, a public vote on releasing the files. Why? Because Donald Trump in the White House is calling members all day today and saying publicly, this is a hoax, do not sign that petition, this is a betrayal of me personally, and Donald Trump is hiding something. This is a cover-up that is being directed by the president, and we're not going to stop till we get the truth.
Yeah, it really feels like, especially the way the White House is weighing in today, and yesterday over the last 24 hours, it's not just about the Epstein file. This is also about, the executive versus the legislative, the power.
No, y'all, because MAGA is standing on its last leg, I swear to God. Because what do you mean, MAGA Mike Johnson, that it's all a hoax, but also Trump was an undercover FBI informant? Like, if it's all a hoax and all made up and all fake, what exactly was he informing them about? like, which one is it? You realize, right? Well, you probably don't, but it can't be both. And you want to know how, aside from being like fake, how I know they're on their last leg, about to completely collapse in on themselves, is because if that were true, Donald Trump would never shut the fuck up about it. He would be the one on the front lines demanding this all come out to prove and show what a heroic person he is. But he's not doing that. He's not. In fact, one could even argue he's doing the opposite by trying to suppress this all coming out, telling the Republicans in Congress that it would be considered a hostile act against him if they vote for this to come out. Like, brother, sister, if the goal here is to make it look like you're less involved, mission not accomplished. Anyway, I just thought that I would make this little bit of Hope Core video because, yeah, he's escalating and everything is gonna seem a lot worse and a lot more dangerous and a lot more evil. But that's because they're going through what is called the death rattle. When a group, when a species, whatever, when it knows that its extinction is coming, they're gonna go all out trying to prevent it. And that's exactly what we're seeing now, with MAGA coming out of the woodwork, trying to throw any sort of excuse at the wall to see if anything sticks, and nothing is. So yeah, in a time where literally everything you see is very alarmist, take this as a reason to have hope that it's gonna happen. It's just a matter now of when exactly. Personally, I'm seeing like a Thanksgiving Christmas timeline, but what do you guys think? Comment below. And while I have you, don't forget, like, repost, share with a friend, because this shit's getting crazy. And follow me because there's gonna be more where this came from. And on that note, if you live in a red district and have a Republican as your representative in Congress, you need to hound them. Email them, call them, stop by their office, send them letters, anything. Tell them and make it very clear that the way that they exercise their vote on this will communicate very clearly to everyone who they stand with.